Good morning. We'll call this meeting of the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll? Or Madam Clerk? Didn't look.
Representative Fritz.
Here.
Representative Grills.
Here.
Representative Hardaway. Representative Harris. Representative Holsey. Representative Hurt. Representative Jones. Representative Marsh. Representative Martin. Representative Reedy. Representative Ritchie. Representative Shaw. Representative Travis. Representative Vital. Vice Chairman Darby. And Chairman Vital. Chairman Tall. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. At this point, would you stand with us? And Representative Hurt is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Representative Vital is going to lead us in a prayer.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we bow our heads? Gracious God, as we come together as fellow Tennesseans, bless this meeting as we think about the future for the next generation as stewards of this great state, of our natural resources, our air, our water, our special places. Bless those that we will consider today as individuals who will join us as public servants representing the stewardship of our state. In thy holy name, amen.
Amen.
This time I'll entertain any personal orders. Seeing none, I'll mention something here that I think is very important to our state. The Tennessee Nursery and Landscaping Association was created in 1905 as an organization where nursery and other related industries would have the opportunity to share ideas, foster research, and educate the public about the importance of nursery production. The association also provides a repository of information for professionals and industry insiders. Due to efforts from the association and other industry professionals, Tennessee's nursery industry has expanded across the state, and Tennessee now leads the nation in production of evergreen trees and deciduous plants. Let's thank all of the members of the association for the hard and important work they do for this state. And at this point, we will take up our calendar. The first item on the agenda is House Joint Resolution 749 by Representative Wright. Do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Representative Wright, appreciate you being here with us today, and you are recognized, sir.
Can't hardly beat that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Joint Resolution 749. Yep, that's it. I'm going to give you a little bit of boilerplate first. What we're about on this 749 is the confirmation of the appointment of Ms. Madge Cleveland as a member of the Heritage Conservation Trust Board Fund representing East Tennessee. Ms. Cleveland is a 1978 graduate of Rhodes College, currently serves as the president of the Foothill Land Conservancy Board, knows a little bit about politics, I would assume, because it tells me here in the boilerplate that she was associated with certain actions of Senator Lamar Alexander and the former Mayor Victor Ashe. Also has worked in public relations, a technical writer for Ingram Group, and also with Child and Family Tennessee. That's the boilerplate. So now to know whether or not I need to stand, and I do need to stand and say something because I've looked at social media. You have to remember that people will look out after that. So let me turn a couple of 3 pages here into my notes about things related to travel, being out in the public, knowing what's going on, visiting with friends for over 30 years on certain holidays. I view Miss Cleveland to also be a friend of the Tennessee Theater. They're in Knoxville. And she may also be a friend of Webb School of Knoxville. It is with a distinct honor that I stand before you to ask for the confirmation of Miss Madge Cleveland. And I would like to present her at this time for your conversation with her. Now, let's be nice. No. Thank.
Thank you, Representative Wright. And we'll have to go out of session to have questions for this nice lady before us. So without objection, we will go out of session. Thank you for being here with us, Ms. Cleveland. And I don't know if you have an opening statement or anything. You're welcome to give us that.
I would just like to say that this is, I think, my 7th or 8th year on the board. It's been a wonderful, enriching experience. And it is such an honor to get to save, preserve, and love the lands in Tennessee. And we all so appreciate your help with helping us do that. And our recent appropriation has been a true blessing. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Do I have any questions for this candidate? Seeing none, we thank you so much for being here today. We'll be back in session. We're back in session. Representative Wright, anything to close with?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I renew my request for consideration of this candidate.
Thank you. Without objection, we'll be voting on House Joint Resolution 749. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That moves on to calendar and rules. The second bill before us is House Joint Resolution 750 by Representative McCalman. I think he's here. I have a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members. Members, I'm here for House Joint Resolution 750 for the reappointment of Mr. Charlie Honkla. I will be short and sweet, like my wife. She loves it when I say that. Mr. Honkla has 35 years in experience selling and leasing industrial real estate. His primary focus is representing landlords and tenants. Charlie's background includes national sales and management positions with Sara Lee Corporation and Oscar Mayer. He also has extensive experience in project development services, land acquisition, and disposition. He's been a member of the Society of Office and Industrial Realtors since 1992, serving at one time as the East Tennessee chapter president, and has been a licensed broker in Tennessee since 1984. He was named 2001 Broker of the Year by the National Association of Industrial and Office Properties. He was awarded the 2009 Industrial Deal of the Year by the same organization. Outside of work, he's a past president and board member of the Friends of Radnor Lake and has served on the board of Affordable Housing Resources. Additionally, he was a 2006 class member of Leadership Middle Tennessee, past president of the National Rotary Club, and an elder at Woodmont Christian Church. He was originally appointed by Governor Haslam to Middle Tennessee seat in 2013. He was reappointed by Governor Lee in 2019. This will be to continue his term to 2027. And with that, I appreciate the consideration.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the sponsor? Would you like for Mr. Honkla to speak to the committee at all?
I do not believe he is here today,
okay.
so
Okay. Thank you so
he was
much.
unable to make it.
Seeing no questions, we'll be considering House Joint Resolution 750. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. This moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you. Next, we have House Joint Resolution 751 by Representative Marsh. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. Representative Marsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it okay if I sit here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, committee. Today, I'd like to recognize and let us talk about Mr. Jeremy Nakasheimer, and I'd like to place his name in the committee's consideration for the board. Mr. Nakasheimer was first appointed to the board by Governor Bill Haslam in 2014 and has been reappointed by Governor Lee. Jeremy has worked in various capacities across the state government in his career, including the state senate, the Department of Finance and Administration. He is an avid outdoorsman. I believe his knowledge of state government will continue to benefit this and its hard work. We all know Mr. Jeremy, and we work with him and see him around. He's a lobbyist up here, and I'm very proud to recognize and place his name for consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. And do we have any questions from the committee? Seeing none, do we want to take an opportunity for Mr. Nagashiner to come?
If you wouldn't mind, please.
Okay, be glad to do that. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from him. We are out of session. Mr. Nagashiner, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure the red light is on. And you feel free to have an opening statement, and then we'll ask questions if there's a desire to do that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve Tennessee in this capacity. I'm a lobbyist in Nashville, and but I'm also a citizen first. And I've slowly, throughout my life, started in Memphis and moved west through Jackson, and now I'm in Nashville, where my wife will probably make me stay. We probably won't keep going east. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and it is important for me to give back to make sure that she has access to the lands that I've had access to as a Tennessean, and making sure that all Tennesseans have access to the great natural beauty and wonder that we have in Tennessee. So I appreciate y'all's consideration today. I take this this appointment very seriously. It's a privilege and an honor, and I look forward, upon favorable consideration, to continue to be able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the committee? Representative Grills?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to get this on the record, I'm confident what the answer will be, but you, in your role as a lobbyist, you have no conflict in fulfilling the duties of this position as a lobbyist as well, right?
Mr. Nagashiner?
Absolutely not. That is something when we first talked to Governor Haslam about, we made sure that that was not the case. In full disclosure, I do a lot of work for Bridgestone Americas, who has, as Mr. Greer Tidwell knows, several big gifts to the state up on the plateau. But in my capacity on this board, nowhere related to one another. And if that situation ever came up, I hope that this committee trusts that I would recuse myself in a heartbeat if there ever was a conflict.
Representative Grills?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that answer and just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other? Representative Fritz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick thing. I may have missed it, but just your name for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been watching this for years, and y'all are sticklers about that. Jeremy Nagashiner.
Thank you, sir. Representative Holsey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to see that you must not have missed Horace Greeley later in life with dyslexia said, "Go east, young man, go east."
East Tennessee is amongst one of the most beautiful places on earth, although I do appreciate the flat agricultural land of West Tennessee. But my wife is a Nashville native, and she will not move to Memphis or go east. So therefore, here I am.
Well, thank you for that. Representative Jones?
Thank you so much for being here and
Yes,
for
sir.
your willingness to serve in Tennessee. I just got a kind of a little bit of alarm went off when they was shared in this resolution and from Representative Grills that you are a lobbyist for some of these industries. And are you a lobbyist here in this building at the Capitol?
I am.
Lobbying legislators?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just, you know, in ethics, there's always this term to avoid the appearance of impropriety, as you know. And I was just curious if any of your clients who you lobby for make campaign contributions to the governor who's making this appointment.
Mr. Nagashiner?
I am sure they do.
And
Representative Jones?
thank you. And so I just, again, to avoid the appearance of impropriety, if no judgment on your integrity, but it gives the appearance of impropriety that you represent industries such as business, large retailers, for-profit educational institutions who contribute to the governor. He's making this appointment. And so I'm going to be abstaining. I'm not going to vote against you, but I just want to explain why I'm going to be abstaining because I just think that is a bit improper. So
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nagashiner?
Just to correct you, I do not represent for-profit education institutes. I did once a time. I have not in several years.
okay.
Thank you for that.
For the record.
Representative Jones?
Thank you for that clarification. It just says Mr. Nagelsheiner is an experienced lobbyist and policy advisor who enjoys learning all aspects of his clients' businesses, which range from manufacturers and large retailers to local municipalities and for-profit educational institutions. That's the only, that's what I read here. So thank you.
Mr. Nagashiner.
And that was probably the first resolution, and we probably should have taken that out. Sorry.
Needed correction.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for that. Seeing no other questions, I appreciate you being here with us, sir. We'll go back into session. We're back into session now, and we'll, any other question or comments on House Joint Resolution 751? If not, we'll be voting on House Joint Resolution 751. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules.
Abstain, can we abstain?
Yes, yeah, let your abstention be noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have House Joint Resolution 752 by Representative Darby. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Representative Darby, you're recognized on House Joint Resolution 752.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I sit here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Phil Pooks has been appointed by Governor Lee to serve a 4-year term. Mr. Pooks recently retired from Ducks Unlimited after a lengthy career where he worked across the United States to further their conservation efforts. In his latest role at the Memphis headquarters, he created more than double the President's Council, which are responsible for managing over $5 million in annual donations. Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Pooks will bring a wealth of knowledge to this board, and I would like to introduce Mr. Pooks to the committee.
Well, thank you very much. I think we'd like to meet Mr. Pooks. If you would make your way up, we'll go out of session without objection. We're out of session. State your name for the record, sir, and give you a few minutes to make an opening statement, and we'll see if there are any questions.
Phil Pooks, Lakeland, Tennessee. First of all, thank you all very much for this opportunity to do something I feel is going to be probably the culmination of 30 plus years of my work in conservation for Ducks Unlimited. My experience coming into this has a lot to do with the side of the equation that prepares the proposals that are then submitted for approval. And that goes all across the United States, principally in the Northeast, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New England states, and down here in Tennessee as well. My finalization of my career brought me to Tennessee and Western Tennessee in particular. And as Jeremy, I think, very much enjoys the eastern part of the state. I love the western part of the state. Mississippi River, the Wolf, Reelfoot, that part of the world carries a history as a waterfowler that I have. And it's the Mecca, it's where it all began, essentially. So it's an important landscape for us to be part of. So I'm very appreciative of that and the opportunity to do this with you all. For what it's worth, my whole family has moved down here to Tennessee with me from the Northeast. So we are now dyed-in-the-wool Tennesseans and looking forward to the next few years, as long as God grants it, to be able to do good work and enjoy the great state of Tennessee.
Thank you, sir. Obviously, your family is blessed with wisdom. Any questions for our guest this morning? Representative Ritchie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Bill, for being here and your work that you've done with Ducks Unlimited. Answer on this particular question has no bearing as far as for on the resolution that's in front of us. I just had one question. When you're headed out to Reelfoot out there, what's your go-to mallard call?
Will do.
Mr. Pooks, do you want to reveal that secret?
Since I don't hunt up there that much, probably can't help you out with that one. But
Good answer.
rest assured, I can find out if I need to.
Good answer. Seeing no other questions, we'll go back into session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're back in session. And any other questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, we'll be voting on House Joint Resolution 752. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules. Next on the agenda is House Joint Resolution 753 by Representative Darby. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Representative Darby, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next appointment up for the committee to consider is Mr. Mike Frick. Mr. Frick has been appointed to serve on the Heritage Conservation Board as a West Tennessee member. Mr. Frick is a lifelong Tennessean and recently retired from Bank of America in Memphis. He has extensive involvement in various boards and community organizations in Memphis, and his professional experience will be a great asset to the board. I would like to introduce Mr. Mike Frick to the committee.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, Mr. Frick, we may go out of session without objection. We're out of session, and I'd love to hear from you for a few minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Michael Frick, and appreciate this opportunity to visit with y'all today, and really appreciate the appropriation that was done for the trust recently that allowed my opportunity to serve. I think my background, there are two things I'd like to point out that would be useful for the board. One is my finance background. It's 41 years with Bank of America in commercial banking as well as B of A Securities. So sometimes understanding the need of capital stack can really make a difference in getting something done. Our board provides no more than a third of the funding for each acquisition. So sometimes a little creativity gets things done. Second, I was chairman and really helped put together a similar organization for Memphis and Shelby County, the Community Redevelopment Agency. So we put together a tax increment financing district for the area that's around St. Jude Hospital, which I'm glad to tell y'all today, you may be aware, they're undergoing a $2 billion physical expansion to their facility for their very, very unbelievable work for children. In that, worked with legislative bodies to create a budget, and then it was up to the board to create policies and to apply those evenly to applicants for use of the TIF funds. So I think that governance experience will carry over into this board as well. Then finally, from a support of organizations, my wife and I are multiple contributors to the Wolf River group, which has assembled a lot of land in the watershed area of the aquifer for Memphis, as well as other natural preservation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for our guest today? Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here. You brought up that about you would provide 1/3 of the funds to purchase any property. When that property is purchased, who is the owner of that property?
It varies, but I'd like to refer to staff to.
Certainly, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Just state your name for the record, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Greer Tidwell, I serve as your Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Environment and Conservation. And Representative Grills, the reference that Mike made to 1/3 is really the objective of leveraging the money that's been appropriated to the board. There are times in the past, and it'll be up to the board, but I expect times in the future when that 1/3 won't be held as an absolute cap, but it's a representation of sort of the target of leveraging those funds. And now to answer the question in terms of who owns the property, it varies depending on the conservation stage that property's in, whether that property might be held by, for example, Ducks Unlimited or the Nature Conservancy, and potentially that property would be aimed toward coming into the state's jurisdiction, but not always. So this board has that flexibility and brings that flexibility to the state to use the partnerships that are out there right now for conservation purposes around the state of Tennessee.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to follow up on that, and thank you for that explanation. Are any of these acres taken out or off of the tax rolls in the given counties that they're in?
Commissioner.
And are those, if they're not, are those tax rates frozen so that the county will never receive any other dollars from? Because what I'm getting at is property tax is the main source of income for counties. And when an overabundance of wetlands or any property is purchased by a government entity, those tax rates get frozen. It therefore puts a burden on the rest of the property owners in those communities. And I know we've probably gone off in the weeds just a little bit, but this is a fear I have when lots of dollars are being used to buy property for government entities.
This certainly is getting into some technical things about the group, which we're all interested in. So, Commissioner, I appreciate you being able to comment on those.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Representative Grills. That is absolutely a concern for sort of balancing the impact of bringing outdoor recreation, bringing the values that come with conserving land to those local areas, and also managing the issue of what happens to that to the property tax. My understanding is a little bit limited in that arena, and I'd love to ask for permission to come back to you with a better answer and more details on that, if I may.
We can certainly appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Representative Jones? Certainly. Mr. Commissioner, if you'd stick around a second. Representative Jones. Hit your microphone, please, sir.
Excuse me. It's about the function of the board and what we're voting on. Deep respect for you, Commissioner Tidwell, for all the work you're doing. One of the best departments in our state. I just was checking the website and I just was wondering, 'cause I know we're voting on 6 of the 11 members of this board.
Right.
And I just was trying to clarify that on the website for this organization, for this board, the Heritage Conservation Trust Fund, it says that the board shall consist of 11 members appointed by the governor for 4-year terms. It talks about the qualifications that they need with conservation, protection, land management. And it also says the membership of the board shall appropriately reflect the racial and geographic diversity of the state. And I was just curious, are there any members of this board who come from a diverse background racially, indigenous, African-American, Asian, Latino? I was just curious because that is what is written on the website. And I was curious if there was any diverse makeup in the board.
And Commissioner, you may know the makeup of the board already. Obviously, you don't make the appointments, but if you have a comment for that, certainly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know there's at least one more appointment to be made to this board, one more open seat to the board, Representative Jones. And at this point in time, I don't believe there's any representation from the communities that you just mentioned.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I can appreciate that all of the members of the board are members of the human race. So thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify, since I've been involved with a lot of conservation organizations over the years where we have taken land from the private sector, and I am concerned about the loss of tax dollars, but at the same time, I think it's important to realize the economic impact from conservation and hunting and fishing. Sometimes when those lands are set aside, there's a multiplier effect. And in many times, it's 3 to 10 times the lost value of taxes to the county or the state in economic value in hotel motel tax, hunting, fishing licenses, other sporting goods and hospitality and tourism. So I think it's important to weigh those things in the short run versus the lost property tax. But thank you I just want to clarify that.
Thank you, Representative Vital. Good points to be made. Any other questions for our guests? Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Committee's back into session, and without any further comments or questions, we will be voting on House Joint Resolution 753. Without objection, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules. Chairman Darby, I'd like to pass the gavel to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we'll be discussing HJR 0754. Second. Mr. Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Chairman. I'd like to introduce to you the next appointee, Miss Angie Box. She is not only a neighbor of mine, but a close friend and a very respected member of our community. As an active community member in the Jackson-Madison County area, Angie has a background in real estate investment. She attended Lambuth University and University of Tennessee at Martin, where she earned her bachelor's degree. She's a member of the Quality Deer Management Association, the Deer River Retriever Club, the NRA, the All Saints Church, and she enjoys boating, fishing, turkey hunting, and Labrador Retriever training. Angie served for 6 years on the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, and she finished her career there as chairman of the commission. So I very proudly and shamelessly introduce her as a candidate for the Heritage Conservation Trust Fund Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Box, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir.
We'll go out of session.
Okay. Thank you, Chamber, members of the committee. I want to first thank you all for serving and the devotion you have, serving time away from your families to serve in General Assembly. So I want to thank you all for that. My name is Angie Box, like I said, Jackson, Tennessee. Thank you for the introduction. I think with my background somewhat in real estate and then TWRA, I feel like I'll be a good fit for the Heritage Conservation Trust Fund Board. It's important in our family to serve with our children and my husband, Brad, of 27 years. We have 4 children, 2 in college and 2 in high school. But it's an honor and would be a privilege to serve here on this board. Take any questions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to welcome you and second the motion for our chairman. You're not in my district, but you're from West Tennessee, and we're glad to have you and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Representative Shaw. I appreciate that.
And I do have one question. And Ms. Box, I appreciate your service here for the state, but who fed all the animals this morning?
Brad Box.
Brad Box.
We hope he did, yeah. That's what he was assigned to do, so hopefully they're well, Phil.
We appreciate your
Thank you
service.
so much. I appreciate it.
Any more questions? Thank you, Ms. Box.
Thank y'all so much.
We'll go back in session here. And we'll be voting on HJR 0754. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Box. We welcome you to the committee. Oh, and we'll be sending that on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman Darby. And I don't know that we have anything else on our calendar today. Any other business before the committee? Seeing none, we have a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned.